Okay, Angela. All right, thank you very much for joining me this morning. So first things first, can you just start by stating your name, your major, what SIT program you went on?
Sure. I'm Angela Leokada. I study anthropology and psychology, and I did SIT Indonesia fall 2015.
Okay. So in choosing a program, sort of what made you choose SIT to study abroad with?
I think first and foremost was the ISP aspect of the program. As an anthropology major, I was really interested in something that would allow me to go in field, to really talk to experts in the community to understand how things play out on the ground. And of course, that's really a central part of what SIT is all about. So it seems like a natural choice.
Great, that's good to hear. What was it about the specific Indonesia program that sort of led you to choose that one?
Sure. I'm really interested in global mental health. And in Indonesia, they practice something called pasung, which is the act of restraining people with psychotic illness as part of kind of treatment for them. So I read a lot about that in my global mental health course last spring. So I was really interested in going there and speaking to families and healthcare providers to better understand the reasoning for that.
And is that the topic that you chose for your ISP?
Yeah. I looked at right now the Indonesia government is doing a free Pasung Act where they're trying to break the chains of people who are in chains because of their mental illness by 2019. So my ISP was centered around, all right, if they're going to break the chains, what are options for a family with a patient with psychosis? In other words, if the chains are broken, where can a patient can go? What is the accessibility like to mental health care hospitals? How available are psychiatrists and other mental health specialists. So for my ISP, I spoke to different mental health care providers and families to better understand that practice.
That's fascinating. Is this research that you did for your ISP, are you going to be able to use that again for any sort of senior thesis project, any sort of other culmination?
I'm not, I also do a lot of work in India, so I'm only a sophomore, so I'm kind of playing right now of whether I want to continue that for my thesis, but regardless, it was really formative in understanding the challenges that happen in mental health care on the ground. And just, it was an issue I've always read about, but seeing it and speaking to families was an experience that I think more than like supplement what I read was really crucial to understanding it at all.
Okay. And even though you mentioned that you were an anthropology major, was the ISP on this program the first experience that you had in conducting your own research and writing a formal research paper?
I've helped with like qualitative studies before, but it was the first time in doing field research on my own in that kind of intensity and that page length. Yeah.
Okay. What was that experience like for you? I mean, did you feel prepared? Were you confident? Was it exciting and fun?
Yeah, I think SIT, and I mean that's kind of part of the reason I want to do this, is a really incredible job in supporting its students. Since orientation, actually, I was talking to Boo Ari, the academic director, about ISP ideas. So I think really from stepping off the plane, it was something that I was really excited about and something that I felt really supported in and bouncing different ideas and engaging with my classmates, seeing what they were going to do their research on. So both in field beforehand and even now back home, I still keep in contact with her and getting more resources about how to continue to look at this issue.
That's great. Okay,
Yeah.
good. So stepping back now, if you had to explain SIT's model to someone who wasn't familiar with SIT at all, sort of how would you go about doing that?
Well, SIT, I think first and foremost is very much field-based. So I think they're interested in taking students and really having them engage with a specific community and kind of shaking up their normal everyday routine to something that fits a life maybe drastically different than their own. And I think that between the field-based model of the ISP, the rigor of the academic courses, also having students live with host families and in different communities, really, they create what's necessary to catalyze empathy. I think their experiential-based model is really getting at the root of a lot of critical global issues. So I'd say it's field-based, it's community-focused, and it's really interested in supporting communities and, you know, looking at issues that are already present and represented by a community rather than going in and trying to do their own thing, if that makes sense.
That absolutely does. Thank you. That's a great answer to hear. So speaking to other prospective students who may be interested in this program, is there something that you wish you had known before departing that they might find useful?
To be quite honest, I wish I would have relaxed a little bit more. I was pretty nervous before departure, but I think SAT is really, I mean, of course, right? I was going to Indonesia, across the world for the first time. Anyone would be nervous. And it definitely takes time for the uncomfortable to become comfortable. But, you know, the academics and SAT, you're supported the whole time. I was taking Indonesian for the first time. I only had 3 other people in my class. My teachers would speak to me over dinner, like on the walk to the program center. I just didn't realize the level of support I'd have while in field, but also the level of independence I'd be able to grow towards the end of the program. So I'd say that, you know, even though a month of field research on your own might seem intimidating at first, or living with a new family across the world, I think that the program really does prepare students for that. So honestly, personally, I wish I would have relaxed a little bit more, maybe have read a little bit more about Bali before I landed there. But yeah, I think students should just know that the academic rigor is there, the support is there, and just to trust their decision to go with SIT.
Great, great. Okay. Well, any other information that we didn't cover that you want to share to other prospective students?
I personally, I didn't realize this before going either, but I think it's phenomenal how SIT uses instructors that are from the communities that they work in. At least that's what, I don't know if that's like across the board, but with Bali, I've done other study abroad programs where they're kind of taking American instructors and you're staying in a lot of different hostels and hotels, but to have all instructors actually from the community was really learning around the clock, which I didn't anticipate before coming there. And I think it's also just really good for the community in terms of making sure that students know how to act intentionally and appropriately in that context. So I think that is an aspect that SIT is really doing a great job with, and something I didn't realize how important that was before I got there.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Okay. Well, Angela, thank you. That's all the questions I have for you. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me this morning and for sharing that information.
Thank you so much. It was lovely meeting and talking with you.